Faux Zen is a term used in pod layer theory to refer, in general, in the most broad sense, to whenever a mojo is denying their true nature, trying to deny their momentum and acting like that's okay. So it's going to have a variety of manifestations depending on mojo. However, the Naiji is the mojo that caused the coining of the phrase Faux Zen in the first place, and it is the holder of the term classic Faux Zen. So we call classic Faux Zen, we're talking Naiji here. So what is Faux Zen? In a nutshell, it's acting like you really don't care about the ongoings of, life when you really do. And Naiji are pros at this. Now, why is this? In a nutshell, because this is a very complex topic, but dealing with the volatile and relentless nature of being a Naiji. Both the Nai just never gets tired of making you quest after answers to the unknown, which is really awesome, but it can be tiring. And no matter how tired you get, the Nai wants more. So you'll use the Zai to kind of like say, I physically can't keep driving myself that hard. And then the Ji, with the flex factor, please see the section on moodiness, is off the freaking charts. Literally, whatever charts there are, Naiji are constantly breaking those numbers. So it is literally off the charts, which can be alarming. You wonder if, what's going to happen to you, if your heart's going to explode, if you're actually going to freak out and kill someone, if you're going to commit suicide, if you're just going to run off and sell all your money and go join a freaking temple somewhere in Tibet. So you're like, okay, I have some pretty gnarly thoughts that go through my head, and I actually really want to do them, and sometimes I do, and it's easy for me. It's easy for me to do things that seem relatively radical. So basically being a radical, if you're Naiji, you're built to be rather radical, so the Zai can help calm that down, but that's not actually what you need to do. You need to actually modulate and allow the radicalness to flow. But in the beginning of being a Naiji, particularly in a world that has no temples, there's a great amount of fear of one's own powers being a Naiji. Fear of the intensity and the swings actually damaging yourself or damaging others. So you're kind of like, chill. You need to chill. That's what you need to do. You need to chill out. Okay. So this is not bad overall. I mean, there is actually some good things about Faux Zen. The question is whether or not you actually think you are in fact Zen or not. Faux Zen can actually be a very useful tool if you know that you're doing it. You know you're actually doing Faux Zen. You don't actually believe what you're saying. You're like, why would you do that? Well, because it can be dangerous to be in the world being a Naiji. So the good part about Faux Zen is Naiji, as may have been mentioned in other areas, have a need for secrecy. And so the intensity at which you are hunting something and the volatility of how you feel things can give you away. So one learns early on that Zai is the secret to not being read. It's a secret for people not being able to see what your moves you're going to do, or that you're upset, or that you care, or anything like that. So that is good, because otherwise Naiji will get themselves in trouble, because they get so excited about things that can be used against them, or they just get very, very excited about things. You learn this also being Naiji, and you're running off in this direction, and you are so fired up, like you have found the golden wonder bread of life, and then you realize that actually either it wasn't, or it wasn't in the direction that you thought it was, and now you have to go that same fanatical thing the other direction. Naiji also learned early on that will wear people the fuck out and weird them out. So the Zai also is like, oh, wait, don't say it. You don't think it, go check it out. But don't tell people how fired up you are at something, in case you might actually have to change your mind, and then it'll be horrible because you were so incredibly fired up on that last idea. You thought that was the way. So Zai teaches the Naiji to sort of hold. So that's good in a modulation degree. Okay, where is it bad? It's bad as a life practice. It's bad to be doing all the time, because that means that you're in an environment that really doesn't respect or honor you or understand you as you are. Also, as your sense of self. If you actually believe yourself to be that because you've done it so much, so you actually identify with not being passionate, with not being driven with sureness that I'm right on something. So you're kind of like, no, that's not me. So, well, it is you. So clearly, anytime you play your character not as you were built, that's a major issue. What else? There's a major loss of charisma when going Faux Zen for an IG, and a loss in general of major synamnia and simulator abilities. Having the Ji flowing is crucial for those kinds of processes. Let's see, what else? That's pretty good. It is worth noting that Faux Zen is very popular in a lot of spiritual models, and Naiji probably helps spearhead a great majority of them, is the idea that it's all just a game. Because, see the section on disassociation, it's easy for Naiji to go into Nai Zai, ooh, what's the game mode? Like you're staring at it like you're looking at the Matrix. But then when it comes to reattaching to the game, there can be a reluctance. And then some people actually see this disassociation, basically, which strikes them as very, very calm. And the person, you ask them, like, how are you so calm this whole storm? The secret is, I just don't care. I mean, basically that's what they're saying. I actually just don't care. I see it as a game. I am dispassionate. I am detached. I am unmoved by the various storms of life. So there are a lot of actual spiritual models that kind of preach this way of doing things, and that's not how natural law intended you to be. Because the mudras you would actually think of as like being like Zen would probably actually be like a Xi Alpha. And even Xi Alpha have impassioned logicians, so actually their peak pathway tells them at some point you need to come out and actually do something external, externally motivated and with an external goals and interests and attachments. So that would be a Xi Alpha. So we're Xi offside, so we definitely are not supposed to be doing this. So that is just not really being true to our character. But see the bubble on Naiji sway over their bubbles. People can see Naiji doing Faux Zen and be wowed by how little effect the environment has on them, how life's ups and downs has so little effect on them, and they can actually idolize this. So there are a lot of spiritual models that, in popular theory's opinion, is basically Naiji who are going Faux Zen, disassociated, whatever, and people actually thought that was cool. And even the Naiji themselves thought it was cool because, look, I'm not feeling the pain like other humans do. I'm removed from that, so isn't this a superior position? No, that's actually a very evolved defensive mechanism, but you're teaching that as actually an overall life methodology and actually how all humans should be, neither of which are correct, not for all humans and not even for Naiji, who are predisposed to detach and do those kinds of things. So my spirits basically say that when you check out, which is what Naiji sometimes can do, where they cease to care about the world. They check out into a little, commune, they go to a temple, they go to a scientific academia lab somewhere where they're like in a basement playing with their little toys, and they just, you know what, I don't really care what the world is doing. They really do. They care so much, they just can't care. That's what it is. And so Naiji are kind of stuck with it. It's so annoying the way the world goes when it doesn't do what truth and natural law says to do, that there's a strong desire to just, you know what, I'm just going to make myself care about what's going on with me and keeping myself calm and not worry about trying to create productive harmony in the rest of the world. That's just too big. That's too big. But that's actually what you're supposed to do. No one said that life is supposed to be easy, and no one said enlightenment was supposed to actually make you calm all the time. For Naiji, that's most certainly not the goal. In fact, my spirits have coined this phrase that basically Faux Zen is a sophisticated form of suicide. You've basically taken your will to shine, which natural law gave you, and you are tossing it aside. So you're asking to die. Anytime you take what natural law gave you, it's like a grasshopper who's saying, you know what, I don't need to jump. I could just eat stuff that's on the ground. I guess you could. And like, if somehow I convince the other grasshoppers that that is superior, because maybe there's fucked up memes in grasshopper land, and it actually is very difficult to actually jump in the air. Not physically. The environment makes it very impingeful to jump in the air. So a lot of people get taken out by jumping in the air. That does not mean Bob was right about don't jump. It means you probably shouldn't live there. It means you should change the environment. You're grasshoppers, you're meant to jump, and the environment's not letting you. Even though it may be a massive ordeal to migrate your whole grasshopper tribe, or a massive ordeal to take over the environment so it's no longer threatening to jump in the air, you're not going to get to be you. You're going to be a bunch of grasshoppers scurrying around the ground, small little pathetic shells of what you're supposed to be. So humans, it's no different. So with Naiji, you're a pathetic shell of yourself if you're actually doing Faux Zen, because you're meant to do things that directly go against that. And even, like I said, Xi Alpha don't really have Zen the way it's sort of put out in the world. And we're not talking just Buddhist Zen. There's a lot of other spiritual models that basically adopt this acceptance. Just accept what natural law presents to you and take it and make the best that you can with it, and do not attempt to strive overly, because striving is the secret to pain and misery. Well, it's also the secret to greatness, boys and girls, and so they're linked together. And if you're an IG, you're supposed to go get greatness. And is there a great deal of pain involved? Yes, there is. Suck it up.